Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday Debate podcast by Android Authority, discussing topics in Android every week. I'm, of course, your host for the FDP, Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? And this week we're talking about Project Fi, or as Joe Hindi wanted to call it, Project Fi, which is essentially the wireless service that Google has announced recently. Piggybacking off of T-Mobile and Sprint networks, they're basically making their own MVNO, and we talk about its implications, how we feel about the Project Fi itself. I almost said Fi there. And also how we feel about wireless in general, the state of mobile networks today. The first 15 minutes of the show, however, are dedicated to us just sort of catching up over about what we did over the past week or so and making a couple of announcements of what we're doing in the next couple of months. One in particular is that we're going to a special trade show that we've never gone to before, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that. If the audio sounds a little bit different right now, just for this intro, it's because I forgot my microphone where I'm editing, so I'm using the Alcatel One Touch Idol 3, which I'm reviewing at the moment to do this particular intro. But without any further ado, keep it tuned to Android Authority for even more from the FDP, and also some changes are coming to the show, and we'll let you know what those are in a couple of weeks, probably at the most. And don't forget that next week we have the LG G4 launch, so wait for all of my coverage and also the podcast on our reactions to it. So now, without any further ado, enjoy episode number 14 of the FDP Project Fi.
So you guys, I think I'm gonna totally request an invite for that Project Fi thing.
Fi or Fi?
I think it's
Fi. Is it Fi?
I think it might be Fi.
It could go either way. That's the thing.
It depends if you say Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi. It depends on those two.
Yeah, but in the once hit TV show Burn Notice, one of the characters' names was Fi, and it was spelled F-I. So
fair enough.
That's where I saw it.
You know, you need a. Do you have a Nexus 6 to use the Project Fi or Fi?
No.
Oh.
I'm just gonna request an invite. I'm actually gonna do it right now on the podcast. So I'm gonna click really loud so you can hear it. Ready? There you go. That was me requesting an invite.
You had everything filled out already? Is that?
No. It was more of a whatever you call it, a grand display there.
All right. So how's everybody doing this week? We had a hell of a show last week, and no, Nirav is not going to be on the show this week. He's actually busy right now talking to some peeps. But again, just a big thanks to the guy for being there last week, despite all of the crap that we gave him being up at 6 a.m. where he is, and then me saying his name wrong the entire freaking time. I'm still mad about that.
He made a comment afterwards in our little podcast chat room thing that there were actually people who listened to this podcast who liked the way you said his name better than the way his name actually sounds. They were all like, "Hey, yeah, Nirave sounds way better than what is Nirav?"
Nirav, yeah. It's so much more exotic. Oh man, but yeah, after last week, and then of course Joe's lollipop rant.
I went over way better than I thought it would. I listened to it and I was like, man, I sound like a dumbass. And then everyone was like, man, you really knocked it out of the park. And I was like, okay, note to self, sound like a dumbass more often.
You were dead on, though. I mean, you got all the points right. Everything most of us are concerned about with Lollipop, you nailed it. So,
well, I mean, I was bumbling on like a crack addict for a little while. So, I did not watch any playoff hockey this week. I listened to the theme music for the once hit TV show in Canada called The Littlest Hobo, which is probably the most relaxing TV theme song of all time.
Wait, that was an actual TV show? I thought you were just calling the song something funny.
No. It was an actual show. It's about a dog that goes from town to town and solves people's problems. Mike Myers, the guy who played Austin Powers, actually played in an episode of that.
Oh wow!
He played a kid in a wheelchair, I think. See, I keep up with 70s Canadian television.
He's up to date-ish. All right, so I'm guessing going pretty well right now for you, Joe. I mean, was there no hockey game today?
Oh no, there was a hockey game. I just didn't watch it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So yeah, how about our other guys over there? Feisty, how are things going over in your neck of the woods?
Things are good over here. Just finished up my work with the ADB on the Android customization series. It's quite a bit of fun for me. I like diving into the developer side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, real developers are going to look at everything I said and shrug it off, laugh it off, because it's the simplest of tasks that we performed. But hey, if you're looking to dig a little bit deeper, trying to figure out how your battery is, what's killing your battery faster than it should, or file transfers, screen recordings, ADB is kind of a slick tool.
Well, they might have some ulterior motive, because if you're teaching people how to get into the whole programming business, then they're going to have more competition, I bet. That's what these developers.
True, no. Well, I took it from a very user perspective. There was no developing, no programming involved. Just, how to install an APK from your PC over to your Android device using ADB. Something that is totally easier to do by other means. But hey, if you're in that situation, it's great to know how to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's pop it over to Grushy. How are things going over there?
Good. Not a whole lot to report. At all. I'm just reading an article right now. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Apparently there is a something called Project Elysium. It is a project for a virtual reality project for the Oculus Rift, or whatever you will call it. And where they're apparently, it's an Australian company, and they're making it so you can put in people who died and like interact with them. It sounds really trippy.
Whoa.
Yeah, that'd be that's a little weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like you could somehow, like, the idea is you'll be eventually able to like send in like pictures and stuff, and they'll make like a virtual model of the person and like resurrect them basically in virtual reality. And just thinking, oh my gosh, are we really going to go that far?
Well, there's still going to be, you're going to see an avatar of someone that you knew, but it just doesn't sound like you're going to get all of them, obviously.
Well, the idea is to try to replicate their personality so you could actually have like a conversation with them. Like I said, it's a very early stage thing, but they're trying to get funding. And it to me, it sounds kind of odd. So that's why I'm distracted. I was reading this, and I'm like, "What the hell?"
That sounds like it could be trouble. Seriously,
yeah. I think that the idea
pictures
is
of your ex-girlfriend, put her in there, and then change her personality. And there's laws against that, thankfully. But it sounds like it's got major issues possible.
Yeah. And the plot twist is that after you're done talking to them, that program gets uploaded to the Walking Dead video games.
Well, that's one of the comments in this article from one of the readers was let's see, where was it? This would be really fun if you could import your dead relatives into Grand Theft Auto. Tasteless but fun. It's like, wow.
Yeah, people on the internet are very macabre, eh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just a little. But yeah, nothing going on for me. Just an ordinary day.
Just an ordinary day reading up on potentially very dangerous and very bad technology.
Well, I'm a geek. I like to look at anything, and it's interesting.
Grushy really just walks all day long. Mr. Fitbit champion over there.
Not today. I've been lazy. Well, actually, I haven't been lazy. I've been working all day. But I've been lazy as far as fitness goes.
I went for a 10-minute jog, and I'm still at only 8,000 steps. Screw you guys. How do you? I think all of you sit at your couch every day and just shake your arm to get the counter going. Because I was like, I'm trying to reel here. I can't get to 10,000 steps in a day. It might be because
today was my easy day, Joe, and I think I still hit like 12. No, 11.
I hate you.
Either your Fitbit is broken or mine is, because mine was a lazy day too, and I got a quarter of what you did.
Well, a lazy day, I still walked a couple miles, and then I mowed my yard. But it was a lazier day.
He walked to the milkman to pick up milk, and
pretty close. I did walk to the grocery store.
Grushy's other job is a part-time mailman. He walks around delivering. So I only had 3 neighborhoods to walk through today. It was a lazy day.
Today was a lazy day. No dogs chased me.
Grushy, when you say something like that, like, "Oh, I'm having a lazy day and I still outwalked you by 4,000 steps," it's the same thing as like when my skinny friends say, "Oh man, I feel so fat after eating a 6,000 calorie dinner," and it doesn't stick to them at all. Like if I ate a 6,000 calorie dinner, I'd probably have a stroke.
But no, there were no dog chases today. But yesterday, while I was walking at 9:30, I walked by this house, and this 10-year-old punk kid as I was walking by, he said, "Go to bed, old man." Yeah, because I'm old.
Go to bed, old man.
Yes, go to bed, old man. At first, I thought he wasn't. I was like, he surely isn't talking to me, But I walked a little further, and he screamed it again in my direction. I was like, okay, whatever.
I'm sorry, Gashi, but you are old if in your head, when that kid said that, you said to yourself, surely he's not talking to me.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Fuck you.
Oh man, that's funny though, because the 10-year-old I would assume is the one with the freaking bedtime. Just saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, you would think that.
Oh man, kids don't have bedtimes anymore. The 5-year-olds
true.
next door to me are up until 3 o'clock in the morning on weekends.
It made me laugh though. I was like, really? Okay, whatever.
Oh man, that's funny.
Surely you can't be talking about me. Now I must go home and consume some succotash and warm milk.
How did you know?
Go to bed, you old man. Jesus.
I am.
He's gonna finish his warm milk and then thud. We're gonna hear in the middle of the podcast.
I got my.
I'm not gonna say a word. I believe I'm the oldest of our group.
I got my phonograph playing in the background, and got my reading glasses on.
You guys don't have bedtimes, do you? Now that we're on this topic.
Grushy, Josh, it's 11:30 and I'm podcasting, but if I had a bedtime, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, no, okay. Joe, I could see that, definitely. I just wonder, like, do bloggers have bedtimes? Like, sometimes I wonder.
Depends. I mean, I like to get up early, so typically I am in bed between 10 and 11, but I'm one of those people who it can just vary very wild. I mean, it's, some days I'll be up till like, 2 or 3 in the morning and then up again at like 6. And then other times I'll be to bed at like 8 o'clock. It just kind of depends on.
See, that's something your Fitbit would be able to track. Is
yeah, once you have kids, it just whenever you can sleep, you do.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Grushy logs into his Fitbit dashboard, clicks the sleep button, and it goes, "LOL, Adam." Track my sleep. LOL, no.
How about you, Feisty? Do you have a bedtime since we're completing this little round of tangent?
Certainly. If I am not asleep by 4 a.m., it's going to be a rough day.
I love it because you guys are all like, when you guys probably all go to, well, I know Joe doesn't go to bed super late typically, I don't think, right?
Oh yeah, I do.
I thought you were more like a 1 a.m. kind of guy.
No, I stopped talking to all of you guys at 1 a.m. Don't go to bed.
I say all of you are super, super late. I'm pretty much the opposite. But then again, I'm also up usually at like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Well, I'm trying to fix my sleep habits. Like, to be honest.
Waking up usually when you people are going to bed.
You people?
Yeah. Yep. Huh? That's racist.
You nocturnist.
He says to the other 2 white guys and the Filipino guy.
You people. Yep. Yeah, I'm one of those people who can easily switch my schedule, though. My sleep. Well, you know that. I mean, when we were at CES, I easily, switched over to being up till 4 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
I could switch back. That was rough when I got back home, though. Switch back again.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I remember too. Like, I think one night it was just me and you up because you were writing and I was editing. Like, I remember that night.
Well, you don't. During events, Josh doesn't even sleep. He like takes like micro sleeps. Like he'll be like working and then just like crash, and then like about 20 minutes later he's up and he's working again, like he didn't even miss a beat.
Yeah, I know some other people like that. It works very well for them.
I would like to say that was all by design, but it obviously wasn't. And I would just wake up 2 hours later from a quick nap saying the name of the phone that I'm trying to edit for. What did G-Flex do? Oh man. Over here I'm actually trying to, like, the main development for me is so there are a couple of fun videos coming up. I have a couple videos, one for Android Authority and one technically for myself on the car that I got to review. Now, the funny situation with this car was we got it from Hyundai. And it was a beautiful car, Hyundai Sonata limited edition, not limited edition, but it said limited on the back because it had everything in it. $32,000 card for everything that it came with. That's a really good price, and that will be part of my car review that I'm doing for sort of a personal endeavor of my own. But the main crux of it was we were supposed to review Android Auto. They brought us a car without it. It was the worst thing. It was the worst thing at the time. And then they said, well, I mean, you did sign for 2 weeks, so go ahead and just use the car, and we'll talk about getting you Android Auto later. I was like, all right. So I started looking at their Blue Link app, and that's what the video is going to be about, and what smartphone connectivity is like in cars right now. Are the systems we have better, or could they still be better than what Android Auto can offer? So that's kind of what's going on there. But aside from that, I'm trying my best to finally get back into gaming again. I have these peaks and valleys where I game a lot and then I don't. Because one thing that I'll be proud to say on the podcast right now is actually we're going to E3.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so we're all super stoked about that. Finally, you guys can come to my neck of the woods in LA, and we'll have a good time. And side note, 16, 17, 18, that's E3. 19, my birthday in June. So.
Oh, wow. See, yeah, for me, it was awesome, too, because my birthday is June 7th.
Oh, there you go.
And so I turned 30, so it's like, well, that's an awesome 30th birthday present.
There you go, yeah, for sure.
My geek dreams come true. I mean, I've been obsessing about E3 since back in the days when you opened up, in order to get E3 news, you opened up a magazine that came like a week later.
Yeah, like a Game Informer or something like that.
Yeah, Game Informer, yes. I had a subscription to Game Informer.
Yeah.
Oh, man, me too.
Yeah, back then, you didn't have, I mean, yes, the internet existed, but a lot of people didn't have, reliable, well, even when I was little, it didn't really exist that much. I mean, not like it does today. It was very different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, these E3 events weren't like, I mean, there were articles, but like video, no. Good luck with that.
Oh,
on
no,
a,
certainly not.
On a dial-up connection. Good luck watching video.
I mean, I know if I'm not mistaken, Joe, you're coming along this trip, right?
I'm going to try, folks.
Okay. So, given that Joe will be hopefully be there, obviously we're going to cover
Hopefully.
Android gaming, Android apps that are being shown, mobile. But we're obviously going to, branch off and see all the games that we want to see. But obviously,
we're visiting Nintendo. I've already made that very clear to Darcy. We're going to Nintendo, darn it.
Well, I've been trying to keep up with what will possibly be shown there. Obviously,
I have too.
Yeah, there are obviously certain games that are super like really anticipated, and one in particular that I'm anticipating is The Witcher 3. Now, I never finished The Witcher 1, and I'm like a third into Witcher 2, so I was like, I have to start gaming again to catch up so I'm not behind when we go to E3. So I picked up a couple games the other day. I got Shadow of Mordor. And,
Witcher 3 already came out.
No, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, it didn't come out already. It's oncoming. Or upcoming.
Sure?
Someone's off to the Googles.
Yeah,
I
right?
swear it came out.
This is, guys, this is how much we don't want to talk about our topic this week. We're 15 minutes in. We're still goofing around.
Because I swear I saw it on Steam the other day. Unless it was just like a...
No, pre-order, dude. Pre-order, that's what
Oh,
it
was
is.
it just... it doesn't matter to me anyway because I still haven't beat Witcher 2. And so I need to go back and do that.
Exactly. I reinstalled it on my Steam, and I really want to get into it. That way,
I knew it was coming. Yeah, I guess you're right. It doesn't come until... When is it coming then? I mean, it has to be right around then, right? Because it's been... Huh.
Well, okay.
swore it
I
was
just
out.
looked at it. It says May 19, so it's going to be there before before E3. So
I thought it was coming soon.
yeah,
or
so
it was
technically I'm
already out.
wrong, but still, I'm trying to catch up.
Neither
on
of us were right. We're really bad about dates around here, apparently.
So May,
Well, with
May
the-
19, okay, so that's fine. But at the same time, I want to make sure to catch up with a lot of stuff so that, when I go there, I'm not so behind on games that I can't talk to anybody about them and stuff like that. So, picking up that, Mortal Kombat 10, I'm really hoping to get started on that soon. Mortal Kombat X, rather. But yeah, that's just a small update on my side, and just kind of excited to say that we're going to be able to go to E3 and see what happens there. But okay, now we can go ahead and jump into our topic. Grushy, we went back to our poll for today, right?
Yep.
All right, how did the results go on that poll?
Pretty much everyone wanted to talk about Project Phi, or
right.
Phi, as Joe calls it. But there were a lot of people who in the comments that said that they wanted to, they were hoping that we would talk about some of the others too, just because Project Phi. Now I'm saying Phi.
See, told you it rolls off the tongue better than Phi.
Project Phi.
Plus, plus Phi doesn't have that douchey connotation that like you get from like a frat house. Like, I'm from Kappa Beta Phi. I'm subscribed to Project Phi. Like, nope, Phi. Screw you.
See, it struck me the other route. Fee, fi, fo, fum. Google's new wireless carrier is the big giant in the room, right?
Anyway,
you know what? That's
Oh
a
my
great.
God.
That's a great connection.
But it's not. It's a U.S. specific thing, and obviously we have a lot of listeners that are not in the U.S. So so I think
guys.
it's important to at least touch on some of the other stuff. But I mean, I think it's still interesting, even to everyone. But it obviously is more kind of a U.S. topic.
Well, I was thinking about it a lot today, and to be honest, I do actually think we can fill the hour with Project Phi, and there are going to be a number of different ways that we can look at it. But since you, the fans, wanted us to talk about it, that's the other reason why I was like, let's see how far we can go with this. Also,
sure.
So to start us off, Grush was the one who did the article, basically reporting on the emergence of Project Phi. So why don't you go and give us a rundown as to what exactly this is?
Oh, sure, you're going to put me on the spot. All right, so basically, who hasn't heard of it? All the rumors were going long before it ever got announced. But basically, Google started its own MVNO, and it's using Sprint and T-Mobile networks with a combination of Wi-Fi. The idea is to create a network that can seamlessly switch between them, and if I'm not mistaken, without dropping the call, basically, is the idea. So, you can be in the middle of a call and all of a sudden, you have a stronger Wi-Fi connection. It pulls you on, and yet you don't lose anything, where you were at. And there's a lot of other little perks involved, like if you buy, it's prepaid. So let's say you buy 5 gigabytes of data, but you only use 3 gigabytes. Well, they'll refund you. Heck, even if you use like 3.2 gigabytes, they'll refund you the difference. They don't round up or anything. And so basically, the idea is to get a service where you're going to be covered by someone pretty much everywhere you go. Is the idea, with no drop, dead drops or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much the rundown. It's pretty straightforward, and there's also, like I said, there's they're opening up things like you can use it in 120 plus countries. Obviously, it's still only for U.S. people, but if they're traveling abroad, also there's some cool stuff like any device that you have Hangouts installed, you can use with Project Phi. You have to have a Nexus 6 phone at the moment. But that's probably right now. It's an invite-only program, kind of like the inbox by Gmail was. But I think by the time it opens up to the public, widespread, I imagine we'll see Samsung Galaxy S6 and other partners come on board.
Yeah,
I would be shocked if we didn't.
Well, to be fair, the Nexus 6 has that functionality built in. But
it's because it works with Sprint. It works with it had all the right carrier stuff, and so it was just set up perfectly for.
Which was interesting to me, because it seemed to me that Google had some forward thinking when it was building the Nexus 6. So
I'm sure they were planning this long before it became announced. We've been hearing rumors about this for I think there's been rumors about this for years.
Yeah, definitely.
To some degree, for years we've been hearing about how Google was going to get involved in the wireless carrier business. So I'm sure, they don't just wake up one day and say, "Hey, let's do this now." I'm sure this was years in planning, and so the Nexus 6 was probably planned all along for this.
Yeah, definitely. A few details. So even if the Nexus 6 is the only device that will be able to switch between the different networks, the obviously being Wi-Fi hotspots, like imagine a Starbucks, or T-Mobile or Sprint, just to be able to jump among those. The other core functionality of it, not even mentioning the data plans, the actual cost of the service, and the ability to use it across all Google Hangouts. I imagine those will be able to be used on any device. You just have to have that special SIM card.
That was kind of my. I guess I didn't really clarify it, but yeah, anything that has Google Hangouts you can use with your number. So like you could call someone from your laptop using your number, even if your phone's in another room or heck, it's not even anywhere near you, miles away.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of cool.
It's like Google Voice on a SIM card is what I kept
Basically,
thinking.
well, that's basically what they did, is they used that technology, and then, when that got baked into Hangouts, basically it's utilizing that part of that technology for it.
Okay, and just one last clarification detail: $20 gets you unlimited talk and text,
and then it's $10 per every gig.
There you go, and then you get refunded if you don't use a certain amount
Correct.
of gigs. All right, cool. So with all of that in mind, so now Google is jumping into the wireless game, and yes, they are piggybacking off of the networks that Sprint and T-Mobile have. That's part of the reason why they are able to go to 120 plus countries with 2G connectivity. That's what T-Mobile does. So I'm going to throw it to our other guys. Feisty, let's start with you. Let's start off with some general reactions. How do you feel about Project Fi with all these details we have thus far?
I'm going to split this up into two parts. First, you're going to get my initial reaction when I first read it. What are you guys thinking? Seriously, why are you doing this? It's terrible. My initial reaction was, this is horrid. It's limited to one phone. I know more will come, but it's limited to one phone. It's an invite system. The price tag is pretty much what you're going to pay anywhere else anyways. You stick with T-Mobile, for example, you can already go to those 120 other countries. And there was one little piece of wording in here that was like, for $20 a month, you get unlimited talk, text, and usage of your own Wi-Fi that you're already paying for. Oh, sorry, I added that at the end. Yeah. It's just, you guys said it, part two, I've had a day and a half to think about it now, and, it makes sense. It's a great evolution of where Google Voice into Hangouts has been going, but it's not revolutionary. It's good. It's not revolutionary, and I can't use it. Now, a personal note, I look at their coverage map as I look at any of the other coverage maps. I live just outside of a big city. Not far out, by the way, just outside. But it's kind of a mountainous area, and I get zero signal at my house. Zero whatsoever from any of these carriers. So I'm already using the Wi-Fi over the Hangouts. That's my only option. Does that make, Project Fi good for me? I don't know. I mean, I'm already using it, so to speak, for free. I'm stuttering on out of frustration because I don't like what I'm seeing so far.
Okay, so the coverage that T-Mobile and Sprint have, or rather lack, is one of the glaring problems with this particular thing. I mean, I know a bunch of people. I think Grush, aren't you on Verizon for that particular reason, or?
No. There are a lot of people in my area. I'm actually on AT&T.
Oh, you're on AT&T.
Well, actually, I'm not on AT&T. I'm on Cricket because AT&T sucks, but it's the same thing. It's owned by the same people.
Yeah, they're using the same networks, right?
Well, Cricket is owned by AT&T.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it's the coverage map, and I did feel that way also. I kept thinking to myself, well, I live in LA, obviously, so this is a huge hub for T-Mobile, and I only ever really frequent places that you would have that kind of coverage. Same thing with Sprint. It would seem to me that if Google really wanted to make a splash with this particular program, they would want, AT&T and Verizon. And I guess something we can touch on a little bit later is whether or not they would be able to reel in those people. But obviously, T-Mobile and Sprint have been the friendliest to the Google ecosystem. How about you, Joe? How do you feel about Project Fi? We'll do it properly for each person.
Thank you. I'm going to do this feisty style and go with my initial reaction, and then after I thought about it. My initial reaction was actually 180 degrees from feisty's. I was so excited. I was like, Project Fi, fo, frick. I'm so excited about this, because I'm used to seeing what Google has done in so many other ecosystems, like what Android did to mobile and what Google Drive did to cloud storage, and what Google Plus did to social networking, and I'm like, they're going to do the same thing to wireless carriers. And then part two, I read about what they're going to do, and I was like, well, this is very disappointing. This is that scene in the bedroom where the guy's all like, I swear to God, this has never happened to me before. It's exactly like that. And then as I continue, we're going to go part three now. Part three, once I figured it out, it's an average MVNO. Like other MVNOs charge right around the same thing. I mean, you can get what would be the equivalent to, it's unlimited, whatever, blah, 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 through Straight Talk and all that stuff for like $50-$60. And then I had time to think about it. And the more I think about Project Phi, the more I don't like it. Like there's just more things about it that just kind of like, shake my angry bushes. And, wow, I don't know why I just said that. Right? But like, it's one of those things, like you have to look, and you look at the whole Google ecosystem, the ecosystem and Android itself, they did the Nexus S where they, dropped the SD card slot and they wanted people to be more cloud oriented. They have Google Play Music and, Google Drive and Google Docs, which are all cloud based stuff. Google is all web. And then they come and charge you for web connection. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like a catch-22. It's like the more ingrained you are into Google services, the more Google's mobile service is going to cost you. Like, just loving Google is going to cost you even more money with Google. And that seems really messed up to me, especially from a company that, over the last year has been launching balloons into almost space to beam Wi-Fi down to this planet for free. And then to come out with something like this, where it's 10 gigabyte or $10 per gigabyte. And at the end of the day, this is how I look at it. What you get is you get access for, unlimited talk and text for $20 and 0 gigabytes of data. And then anything that you use after that is overage charges. It's essentially all it is. You overage charges for what data you use that's off of Wi-Fi. And it's essentially Republic Wireless, but more expensive.
Well, but don't you get refunded for what gigs in that $10 span, that extra $10 span? Like Rushy said, if you go over 1 gigabyte and then you use maybe like 0.2 of a gigabyte, you get those $8 back. Would that be equated?
Yes.
Yeah. So technically,
well, I mean, I look at other, there are most people, and I understand that most people don't use more than 3, 4, 5, 6 gigs a month, but everybody I know, and this is anecdotal, I just said that this is anecdotal, so anybody in the YouTube comments will get mad at me for this. Everybody I know uses between 10 and 40 gigs of data every month. Like, my brother doesn't have cable TV. He watches Netflix on his phone.
Oh, I was about to ask, who are these people?
Yeah, that's just like it too, because I don't even hardly use like a half a gig.
I mean, I
don't go nowhere.
I sit in front of a dual screen monitor desktop on a 50 megabit connection all day long, and I still use 10 gigs a month. And I think because my brother is on my T-Mobile plan because we have that 2 lines unlimited everything for $100.
Oh yeah,
and if we moved to Project Phi, my phone bill this month would be over $500. And you know what? I'm using 50.2 gigabytes. Thanks for the $8 back, you freaking bankrupting jerk-offs. Like, it would cost me more than rent. What the hell is $8 back going to do for me? So, it's one of those things where, Project, just like pretty much everything else Google has done lately, it's for a certain type of person. If you travel a lot, if you don't use a lot of mobile data, if you're really ingrained into Google services, but not so much that you're like streaming music on Google Music all day long, then it's going to, then I suppose it could probably be pretty good. But at the end of the day, like, it just doesn't feel like a step forward in any meaningful way outside. I mean, there's a couple of cool little features, like the switching between the networks and the Wi-Fi is kind of cool, I guess. And I heard from somewhere that they do a VPN too, like that there's VPN built into it. And people are like, oh man, that's going to be so cool. People need more VPN. I'm like, of course they need VPN. They're being they're jacking into Wi-Fi networks on the random. Like, you're going to need protection if you're going to force somebody onto, a random Starbucks as they're driving by. You don't know who's on that Starbucks connection that you're driving. You could be in the skeevy part of town. It could be like a jerk in there trying to sniff your packets and stuff. So, I mean, I don't consider the VPN something like revolutionary or innovative. I think it's something that has to be there for this not to be the worst idea of all time.
Yeah, I agree with that part. And you know what, I do agree with your assessment. Like, if you are the kind of person who uses, let's say, more than 5 gigabytes at any given month, then I agree that you probably will not like the pricing tier of Project Phi. But that being said, though, like I have T-Mobile and AT&T. The main reason being because I just like to have 2 phones on me. Like, let's say half the time. I don't do it all the time, but I have them available, and I pay like $90 for my T-Mobile because I paid the extra for tethering. And then AT&T, I just keep it pretty base. Even with the AT&T base that I have, I feel like if I only use, let's say, 3 gigabytes, knowing that I'm just using Wi-Fi at home, I'm locally downloading my Google Play Music, so I'm not really streaming it, I could save like $50 alone compared to my T-Mobile plan. Now, of course, tethering is a whole different story, and they haven't talked about that. But the thing that makes me laugh about this is the very people who could benefit the most from it are not the people who would know the most about Project Fi.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. We're nerds. We use lots of mobile data. We are on the internet frequently. Project Fi is not for us.
That's the crazy part.
Actually, I don't know. I would almost consider it personally, but see, like I said, I'm at home most of the time, or
like
Wi-Fi.
like every other person your age, Grushy. You're not, you don't use your mobile for the Facebooks and the Candy Crushes like us kids.
Well, and I do stuff on Wi-Fi, and I am old. That is true.
Dude, you're not even 2 years older than me. Knock it off.
When a 10-year-old tells you,
yeah, when a 10-year-old tells you, it must be true, guys. You made me think. How could people even live with you? You said that you have people in your family, Joe, that don't have a connection besides their. I don't know how you could even do that. I just looked. Like you had me curious. I just looked up how many gigabytes I use on Time Warner, and last month was 600 gigs. So,
dude, I can get over that. That's no problem. Yeah, I approach a terabyte almost every month, but that's because
the month before that was a terabyte.
Well, it's between the Netflix and the YouTubins. I mean, I
download a lot of I download a lot of Steam games and stuff.
Oh yeah, that'll do it too. But yeah, the problem is,
we're cord cutters too. So
yeah, that too. But I'm not trying to tell like a sap story or anything. But my brother, he works one of them, fast foody kind of jobs, and doesn't make the cash monies. So I mean, we're together on a phone plan. He forks out $50 a month and gets internet and essentially cable TV. Well, not essentially cable TV. But, television content, and then adding actual cable television and actual internet that is comparable to the 40 megabit, internet that he gets from T-Mobile would cost him an extra $120 a month. And I mean, he just doesn't want to do that. He doesn't have, that much extra leeway in his paychecks.
I've known people who've done that also. I had a friend a year ago whose mother, she just basically her entire digital life was on a Note 2, and it was via T-Mobile's unlimited plans and whatnot, and she had just a fine time with it. I shudder to think how much that woman would be spending on Project Fi. Good Lord.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you look into those other use cases, and the reason why I bring up such use cases, because I know not a lot of people are like that right now, but that's the way it's gonna be in the future. And not like too far into the future either. And I guess that gives Google time to change, unless they really want to keep this, I don't even know how to pronounce the word out loud. I've only ever seen it spelled niche.
Yeah.
Niche. Okay. Sorry. I'm an idiot sometimes, and that's one of those moments. Nike. All right. So, but it is really a Nike product.
Somewhere in your app is sneezing right now.
Goddamn Americans. But it's you look into the future, everything's on the cloud, everything is in cloud storage, everything is being streamed these days, and it's just going to get more and more prevalent. And I think that when you have a mobile service that doesn't embrace that inevitable future, Sling TV, I think it's a step backwards, especially, and it's disappointing, especially from Google, a company that has so many times over the last 15 years been the catalyst for giant steps forward, including the giant step forward to the cloud, which makes this step backward even possible.
Well, to me, so one thought that came to mind there is, so something when I first saw this, I did think this is sort of like a half completed idea. And
Josh, that is how I roll all the time. Just go with it, bro.
this is like a half-completed idea. They have the right idea. They just haven't really hashed out all of the details yet. Now, the part of it that I think is really great is that they're basically telling the wireless carriers, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later with you guys, they're pretty much telling the wireless carriers that their current models suck. And maybe the only one that doesn't really fit that description at the moment is T-Mobile, because they have been doing some pretty great stuff. But then again, T-Mobile is the one that has been the catalyst for change in other carriers, like the AT&T Next program. Not having to pay the subsidy or not having to worry about the subsidies anymore. Just pay the phone little by little over 2 years instead of getting roped into a contract. Now everyone's doing it. Even Verizon's doing it, of all people. And now Google's trying to create this change where they're trying to consolidate the networks while providing an easy-to-understand wireless service. Now, the whole idea of it going from Wi-Fi to, let's say, 4G and back again, without any drops or anything like that, that's more of a nerdy side. But that makes me think that I think Google, what they're trying to do is future-proof their product, their service. For the idea that Wi-Fi hotspots, now you guys can chime in after I say this if you don't agree with me or if you do. Wi-Fi hotspots will probably become just as ubiquitous as the mobile networks themselves.
Oh yeah.
They definitely will. Yeah, no, exactly. They definitely will. The problem is that public Wi-Fi is like the number one security risk for all people surfing the web outside of their homes.
Well, that's why they had the language in there that said, especially places with Google Fiber. I remember that was specifically put into their literature.
Google Fiber. That was a huge step forward. That circa completion date is circa 2200 at this point. The year 2200. Yeah, we're gonna do one metropolitan area every 2 years. Until Larry Page's great-great-grandchild is the CEO.
Well, the whole idea that somebody uses all mobile data and that could really jack up the cost, it seems to me a move that Google would have known would suck. So that's why it makes me think that these Wi-Fi hotspots in establishments across the country, let's say, like we already have Starbucks, and for God's sakes, McDonald's is doing it now too. They're going to be places that you'll always have a refuge, and you'll always be able to, in pretty much any major establishment, be able to not have to worry about using those gigabytes and have to pay so much.
I'm imagining a conversation a guy's having with his wife someday down the road when he engages with Project 5e. Hey, honey, I'm gonna go run to McDonald's. Why? Well, the new season of House of Cards is out and the cable's down, and I don't really want to pay anymore for mobile data, so I'm gonna go spend the rest of my evening eating apple pies and taking advantage of the free refills on the fountain drinks, watching Netflix. Like, I don't know. It seems like a lot of complicated stuff. Like, it seems like over management. Again, half-completed thoughts. This is how we roll at the FDP podcast, folks. It seems like it'd be easier just to be able to stick to a connection and not have to worry about it. Like, if you want to jump from Wi-Fi to mobile, that's fine. Especially if you put in the security things in there to make it viable. I admit that is a good idea, but when you charge for the mobile data, when you charge so much for the mobile data, it goes right back to the same thing that people were complaining about years ago about how, tiered data plans are stupid and how people, can't use their phones the way they want to use them because they have to make sure, instead of, I don't want to go over and get charged more money. Now it's, I have to go find a Wi-Fi hotspot first. It's the same problem with a different name.
See, I'm on a different page than you. I don't think their pricing's that bad.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, it
is. Yes, there are unlimited plans for like Sprint and T-Mobile, but if you're someone like myself who doesn't have access to T-Mobile or Sprint, Sprint a little bit, but Sprint I would never go back to. And that's a story for another time. But anyway, if you don't have access to those or you're in a bad area for Sprint or T-Mobile, there's not a whole lot of unlimited plans out there. And if you look at the price, if you add like 2 gigabytes, you're paying 2 gigabytes $40 by the time you're done. So, because you're paying, $10 for each gig and then the $20 fee to be on fee or fi or whatever.
Fee.
Anyway, that's $40. That's about what you're paying. Like with Cricket, it's $35 and you get 2.5 gigabytes, so that's a little more, but it's pretty comparable to other MVNOs. So I think your complaint really, I mean,
it's not a complaint.
It's valid, but I think kind of what I think basically your real upset is that it's just not any different than any other MVNO, right? I mean, it's not. I don't think it's any worse. It just may not be better.
Well,
in that
it's
aspect.
worse. It's not. And I already said that. I already said that it's not any better.
Well, I know, but you make
And
it sound
I did say
like
that there were use
you're making it
cases.
sound like they're charging $1 bajillion, compared to everyone else. I don't think they are.
No,
Yes, there
it's
are
the way they're-
unlimited plans, but
It's the way they're doing it, It's the whole they try to make something that's not that great sound great. It's that's the complaint. If they came up right out and said, "Look, we're going to charge you for every gigabyte of data you use, starting at 0." If they were upfront and honest about it, I probably would have stopped ranting about it 5 minutes ago. But it's the whole we're gonna switch you back and forth from Wi-Fi to to mobile data to save you money that you're charging me. It's like when a bookie taking a bet or paying a bet or paying someone's winnings by taking another bet. Oh well, the bet's free because you already won this last one. It's like it just seems like.
I don't think the point of Project Fi is to save money, though. I don't think that's really the idea behind it.
No,
it's
not
the
at
idea.
all.
It's the idea of improving coverage, and preventing
Then
drops.
why charge?
That's basically...
Then why charge for data at all? Why not just put a flat rate there? You 20. They could have done it a lot of different ways. Is what I'm saying. Is they could have done the $20 and then Wi-Fi only, or they could have done $30 for a gig. $40 for 2 gigs, and then at a certain
the same.
And then at a
That's
certain
what it
level
is.
say
That's what it is, though.
How is it any different?
And then at a certain point, just say screw it, unlimited data, so that somebody me can switch this, can enjoy the expanded networks, can enjoy the new technology, and not have to stay behind it where I am now because I use too much data for it.
Well, that's the thing. I realized that we were going to get to that point. I think that we have been spoiled by the word unlimited. We completely have been, because if there's one thing that that really makes the phone carriers, the mobile carriers, clamp down on their customers more than anything, it's the cost of data, the cost of bandwidth. And one thing we've never done for users is help educate them on how to keep their mobile costs down. Now, obviously, it's not something like water that is a resource that we have to really, especially here in California, for God's sake, something that we have to actually conserve. But at the same time, it is the same thing that will make these wireless carriers, bump up the prices on everything, and it makes everything more expensive when there's no bandwidth to go around, and it's just the cost of being able to send it all out. I think we were spoiled by the word unlimited, to be honest. And if somebody is able to learn how to use the Wi-Fi at home and then maybe only use 2 gigabytes, well, there's $40. And otherwise, an unlimited plan would cost $55, and they're already saving $15 based upon how much they were going to use that month anyway. That's just my thought on it. I honestly do think that the word unlimited is thrown around way too much when it comes to mobile.
That's one of those things. It's a wholly different conversation, but the problem isn't that it costs them too much. It's that they're still developing their infrastructure.
Oh, yeah.
And they're doing it at a not very good pace. They're not doing it. They're not upgrading their infrastructure to meet with demands, because this whole thing has happened with the ISPs already. And in my neck of the woods, the only ISP that still throttles data is AT&T Uverse. Nobody else cares because they have the bandwidth there, because they made the proper adjustments to their infrastructure. They limit people to speeds, and this is the thing that I don't understand. Why if bandwidth is such a huge deal, if not everybody can have the all of the data, why aren't people why just drop it down to 25 megabits? Like we need any more than that, Instead of limiting how much data we can consume, why not just limit the speed of the data that we already have so that more people can access it? For those who don't know, bandwidth is essentially like a freeway, and only so much data can come through it. But if everyone's limited to just a certain number of roads on that giant freeway, then there's more space for everybody. Instead of everybody trying to gain as much as humanly possible. Because I saw somebody who was getting like 90 megabit on a T-Mobile LTE connection. Why? You don't need that. You can stream HD on Netflix on a 6 megabit connection. You don't need more than 25. Lock it down to 25. To 25 down, 5 up.
Joe angry. Joe smash.
It is because I think the idea that I have to watch how much data I use every month is freaking absurd. Like, I'm sorry, the whole spoiled by unlimited. I'm probably spoiled by unlimited. I'll give you that one. But it's the internet. This is 2015. We live in an era where everything is on the internet. And by limiting the amount of data that people are allowed to have every month, it's essentially saying you can only have so much, internet at a time. It's so silly to me.
No, I agree, and don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for everyone to be limited, but it's just this whole idea that people get up in arms whenever either on the one hand, and you brought up another good point. Like on the one hand, if you take away this idea of unlimited, people get pissed. If you have this idea that everyone gets this super high speed, but even to your point, even if we were to slow down people's speeds in order to open up the traffic for everybody, rather than worry about how much data, worry about the speed that everyone does, there's going to be so many pissed off people. It's like, why is my phone not going at 99 miles per hour? Why is it not going at 20 at this point?
Well, here's the thing. There are already so many pissed off people. I had a guy on Google Plus today literally chew me out over this because he's sick and tired of going into the city and having, his data just drops down to like 56K speeds because it's a huge congested area. And I guess, he was coming from the same frame of mind that you are, where if people are paying for data, then they're using less data, and then congested areas get to ease up a little bit. My idea, it's the same thing. At the end of the day, the idea is reach for the same goal, to ease up the congestion, right?
See, that's what, if you think about it, that's what Phi's aiming for, is that if that guy's getting bad data, it would switch to different cellular network and he'd no longer have the issue.
And also, if he's going to be paying $10 per gigabyte, he'll be more to the point I was making earlier. Not necessarily saying that this is ideal for everybody, but if everybody is aware of how much they're going to end up spending, then it would also ease up the traffic in that way as well.
True. I don't know. I mean, I guess to me, I just feel like I understand how MVN. I don't think it's affordable for an MVNO to offer unlimited data. I think they, because they're buying, their data in buckets basically from carriers, and I just don't think that's feasible at this point. Maybe eventually, but I think at this point it's not. And because no MVNO has unlimited. There's not a single. Not that I can think of. Is there? Who is? Oh, okay.
I'm with
Straight Talk.
I'm with Simple Mobile.
Go ahead. What was that, Feisty? Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm with Simple Mobile. It is unlimited. Now, they do throttle it after your monthly X amount.
Okay, yes, actually, you're right. There are quite a few that have... even I think Cricket is technically... It's just that you get like 128K after you use your amount. But I guess I don't consider that truly unlunlimited because, it's crappy after a little while, so you might as well
It can still load... It can still load a Facebook feed, you can still post a tweet on a 2G network.
True enough.
And you know what's funny?
That's a good point.
So something I just thought of. If Google, I guarantee, you know what? This whole conversation could have been avoided if Google had done one thing. If they had given us free 2G.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. If it would have
put a toggle in there, turn off the 4G, let me surf on the Wi-Fi, on the Wi-Fi's for free, and then the 2G network for free.
Well,
and avoid the 4G networks entirely and not charge for it. How awesome would that be, though?
Who's to say that that's not the case right now, though?
Honestly, they haven't fully announced everything. You have to realize that it's not available for another week. When Cricket was first, back when it was IO wireless or whatever, they weren't very specific on their terms. But then it came out to light that yes, you could continue to use it after you used your base amount, and so. Who knows? Considering Sprint and T-Mobile both have the structure for that, it may be, because we might be making, an issue out of something that isn't an issue. It's hard to say at this point.
I'm willing to bet that Google will, that the Project Fi is going to take on that model where you put in the money that is then used, and then when that money runs out, I think, because that's a pretty common way of doing pay-as-you-go. But yeah, I wanted to do a temperature check over there. Feisty, how are you doing in front row seat to this heavyweight bout?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Joe and I kind of
no problem. I was letting you guys set the groundwork. So
I didn't realize this was the Friday sunny day picnic podcast, guys.
It's supposed to be.
Well, we're in the process of trying to find a new name for the show, and for all you fans who have been using hashtag FDP, I'm sorry if that does change in the near future.
No, but
as long as you got your popcorn.
Yeah, I want to reel back. You guys do realize I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think Project Fi is
absolutely,
because it's something I've had to deal with all day today. Is people are like, well, you obviously think it sucks. No, I think it's lackluster. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's boring. It's not anything special.
My own personal opinion on it is I actually agree with you. I never actually stated my opinion. I think it's a great concept, but implementation. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's exciting. To me, it's no better and no worse than any other MVNO. To me, but what I'm excited about is the technology behind it. The idea to seamlessly switch between is really potentially useful, especially coming from where I live. I envision a network, whether it's, Project Fi or whether it's someone else eventually that can give me this, and maybe no one can, where imagine if you had one, service that could seamlessly, that bought basically minutes from all the major carriers and even like regional carriers like US Cellular and just hand off between all of them. And so basically no matter where you went while traveling, you would be guaranteed to get something, even if it wasn't a great connection, you would always have a connection. And, you would have, minimal drops. For me, I live in a small, for those who don't know, obviously all you guys who are, hosts, know, but for our listeners, I live in a cornfield, basically. We don't have houses around here. They're just cornfields and cow. Okay, a little more than that. But I live in a small town in the Midwest, near a big city, but not in the city. Anyway, I have, where I'm at, in my town, there is AT&T coverage, there's Verizon, there's Sprint, there's US Cellular, there's everyone but T-Mobile. But you go 20 minutes over, and there's a town where US Cellular is it. In fact, there's actually a whole, section where US Cellular is it. All around me, US Cellular. And I don't have US Cellular, so when I'm in those areas, I just go off grid basically, or go to my friends who live in that area. I just use their Wi-Fi connections and whatnot. And so to me, the idea of something that could just seamlessly jump onto US Cellular's network and then jump back to Verizon's and then jump back to, that's awesome, And I'm sure there's many other people out there who live in these areas where you may not have access to really strong, just one carrier, dominating the area, and that would feel the same as me. I mean, I would be willing to pay a premium for that, And so to me, the technology of being able to unite all the networks basically under one service is awesome. And that's what I'm excited about. It's not necessarily Project Fi or Fee or Foe. It's what it's capable of, the technology behind it, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
definitely.
It certainly does,
and that's isn't that the weird thing though? Is they had that technology. You're right. Is really cool. I really like the idea of being able to jump from thing to thing. I don't like being charged a whole bunch more than I pay now for it, but I like the idea and I like the premise, and I even like the built-in security tools, like the built-in VPN to keep yourself safe on the Wi-Fi networks is really, really awesome. What's weird is that despite all of that, Project Fi is still average.
I agree.
I'm going to defend them a little bit here. I'm going to defend Google just a bit. And basically, my argument is on what Grushy was talking about, the infrastructure. Of course, in Portland here, we're a potential Google Fiber town. And I've been watching how they're getting everything implemented. Now, of course, they're laying their own lines where needed and putting up their own substations, whatnot. It's a struggle. And one of the biggest things making it possible here in Portland is that the metro system is offering up for free use of their stations and their lines and their along the tracks they can lay lines for free.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, that's huge, absolutely huge. And that's one of the only reasons that it's going to if it even comes to be because of some other political stuff, if it comes to be, that's one of the only reasons it'll happen. And that's kind of where Google is stuck right now, I think. If, politically speaking, they could launch their own equipment, their own actual infrastructure to give Wi-Fi and to give cellular to this country, never mind the rest of the world, sorry, let's talk about the US just for now. If they could do that, I think that they would. Isn't it in Mountain View? Somebody will have to correct me if I'm wrong or look this up, but I'm pretty sure in Mountain View, Google had set up an entire free wireless to the entire city. And politically, whoever it was, the telcos of some sort came in and lobbied and had it shut down. So Google had to turn off free wireless to the city, just because the paying telcos and the ones that were accustomed to have gouges for money are the ones that blocked them. And just like moving forward with Project Fi, it's they're an MVNO. They're not their own telco. And they're stuck. You guys already said this, but they're purchasing the minutes and the bandwidth from the other companies. Giving it for free isn't really what they can do here. It's a little bit out of their hands.
Well, no one asked them to do it for free.
Joe touched on.
Well, not for free, but cheaper and stuff. You know what I mean? Everything you were asking for, Joe, is they could do it, but it would have to be at a loss. Because of what Grushy said, they've got to pay upstream for the service in the first place.
I don't mind paying for unlimited data. Like, I don't mind paying what it would take to give me unlimited data on that network. I'm just upset that I don't have that option. That I can't make that switch to something as potentially awesome as Project Feisty could be.
You're just sucking up.
I can't use it. I can't use it, and until they give me an unlimited data option, I can never use it, and it's frustrating. Because you just said Google's bottleneck. They have to do this thing, dude. If they charge $90 a month for unlimited data, I'd switch to it, no problem.
That's what I do right now with T-Mobile.
Yeah, like I don't mind switching to something new and something better, but if I'm switching to something that's going to ultimately cost me more money for what is essentially, until the infrastructure that Google's trying to work out here gets finished, it's just asking me to pay more money for the same kind of stuff. And in some cases,
oh, sorry.
And you got to think of the battery drain too, switching from network to network all day long.
Supposedly they have technology. Supposedly, because they did mention that. Supposedly they have some kind of way to help with that, so it's not an issue. Supposedly,
they had a way to help with the Nexus 5 camera.
Yeah, like I said, that's why I say supposedly.
Well, again,
and the memory leak and lollipop.
Well, again, this. I
believe it when I see it.
I agree. That's why I said. That's why I said supposedly.
Supposedly, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, just real quick. Sorry, Grushy. I just wanted to say, like, it's almost self-defeating for Google to call it Project Fi rather than something that's completed.
That's exactly what I was saying. Is that something we all touched on earlier? This is not a complete idea.
Exactly,
it's part of an idea. But Google does that a lot. It's I think it's about the long term here. This is to set up, for the days when they do have, Google Fiber and maybe even balloons in the air that are beaming down Wi-Fi. I think it's to set up for what will happen in a decade from now, not necessarily and I think this is just a baby step and a way to kind of test it. And let's just face it. I mean, we'll be honest here. Most of Google's stuff are beta tests. Most of you basically you're buying into being a beta tester on a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
that are
for
related
sure.
to Google. That's just a fact.
Oh no, definitely. And I acknowledge that it's I do acknowledge that it's an experimental thing too. I just kind of wish there were a little bit more like, Google Music with it instead of, like Verizon with it.
Well, I think that, I do think it's kind of funny if you think about it that in this one step, basically Google found a way to complete Sprint and T-Mobile's merger on their own. That's basically what they did. But, I kind of... like I said, the technology, the idea to switch between, I was thinking just for those who are still hanging in with us that are not US-based, I was even thinking like the technology from, granted, I don't know a lot about European carriers, I just know basics, so anyone who knows a little more, weigh in. But, I know that in Europe there are quite a few carriers, I mean, tons compared to what we're used to.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea of this kind of technology uniting carriers, like, if there were like, in a country like Romania, for example, where one of our editors, Bogdan, lives, I know there's quite a few he's talked about. And the idea for like some of those to unite with some of the small carriers in like, the neighboring countries, near Romania, if they could all enter into some kind of similar sharing program where it could jump back and forth. I don't know. The technology is what I'm excited about, I guess, because I think it has a lot of merit beyond just the US even,
Yeah.
I mean, they're essentially turning the main characters and the ones who hold the spectrum into, what are they called? Not the ISPs, but the ones the ISPs get the internet from.
Mm-hmm.
What are they called? Anybody remember? Off top of their heads?
I know what I'm being...
The gods of the internet, essentially. And I think, this is another one of those half-baked ideas that we have here on the FDP podcast. What if Google's just trying to turn the major carriers into the internet gods of the mobile space? Instead of interfacing directly with customers, just interface directly with somebody like Google, just switch back and forth between the networks at will. And
I think that'd be awesome if they
be really
with a system.
Assuming I didn't have to pay per gigabyte for it, I would love that.
I think that it would be really hard to get the carriers to cooperate at this level, but it would be amazing if there was a future where you could like basically have a service where you don't necessarily it hops into all of them and they just pay whoever, instead of signing up for these carriers, Google or whoever pays these carriers for, hey, okay, this much was used on your network, and basically we no longer directly sign up for any of the carriers. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That really would be awesome.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But
That'd be fantastic.
Unfortunately, no one would want to get along at that.
So that's the thing. I love that Feisty was able to say his part about that, because it makes complete sense that these phone companies, these wireless carriers would blow back on a plan like this if Google did want to sort of put everyone under an umbrella. But even on the other side of the coin, we're saying that Google is going to unite all of these carriers and it's going to be a good thing. But also there's the whole idea that Google might, it's always a problem with Google, the whole idea that it is a monopoly. And if it was able to succeed in uniting the carriers, I mean, there's going to be blowback on that too. So
what if it was more like an approach, like basically, which is what Joe was saying, I think. What if it was an idea, basically the idea of right now, you have multiple ISPs and they dial into the same, internet.
I think it's like 3 or 4 giant carriers that cover all of North America.
Yeah, what if it was basically the same concept? Like you had 4 or 5 different companies, Google, whoever else got involved, and then they dealt with these networks. So Verizon, instead of being a carrier, and AT&T instead of being a carrier, were basically just parts of that network. And when we used that part, they would get paid. Unfortunately, like I said, this is an awesome idea in a way, but we know it's not going to.
It'll never happen because
it's ever going to happen because
they have to figure out a way to make a
cooperate
profit
at that level.
Yeah, well, profit too. They need to be able to make a profit. Off of it.
I think they could make a profit off of it. I mean,
what? It's just digging deeper into it, they'd be able to fire all of their customer service reps. They wouldn't need to maintain stores anymore. They could dedicate all of that stuff to just upgrading their
awesome network.
Yeah, upgrading their infrastructure, and that would ultimately get rid of the congestion issue that makes Josh hate unlimited data so much. Hater.
I do not hate unlimited data.
And just like that, we solved the whole carrier problem.
I have one more concept to throw in there at you, Grushy. And this is more for Joe than anything.
Yay! I like things for me.
You've mentioned, and I saw your Google Plus stream earlier today as well. Your focus was that Google is putting out this, in certain terms, expensive network, and they're at the same time they offer all of their services that eat so much data. What if Google did not charge for data to their services?
That would help.
Talk about monopoly, sure, but that might change things around. T-Mobile's already doing with music streaming.
Yeah.
They don't charge for the certain music streaming services.
It's actually really great. See, I don't know how I'd feel about that because my biggest net use is Netflix personally. But I mean, no, that'd be actually really cool. Throw in some Google Drive space along with it, unfettered data access to the Google services. That would actually be a pretty nifty idea. I like that. That's something unique, at least.
So yeah, I
Damn.
think basically we could sum up the idea that there is a lot of potential in Project Fi. It's just that the current implementation. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting tired.
It's actually pronounced implementation.
Implementation fee. Anyway, it's just that right now what we have is weak. You know,
Well,
it's
Funny
a cool
the way
idea.
you say it, because we technically don't even have it yet.
True. I mean, we're kind of speculating. I mean, because, and you know what we get during the initial stage, while it's just an invite program, and what we get when it becomes a public program could be very different too. You know.
Yeah,
They're not necessarily. It could look very, very different. Who knows? Hell, maybe they could get AT&T or Verizon to jump in too at that point. That would be amazing to me. Yeah, good luck. But AT&T and Verizon have MVNO services, so I mean, it's possible. I'm sure it would be more. It would raise the prices even more, and then Joe would have even more to Hulk smash about.
If they did that, right? If they did that and skyrocketed the prices, and you guys want to talk about it into a podcast, you'd have to invite Lon for that week because I'm not.
Joe's like, I'm not attending.
I know. And it's not just like because I don't want to. It's because I don't think you guys want me to. I don't think. I admit that there are times where there are people who don't want to be in the same room as I am, and that would be one of those days.
Joe smash.
I can't wait for E3 if you come. If you come in there.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be really fun.
All right, cool. Well, thoroughly and spiritedly, we've talked about Project Vi. We're on a roll with these podcasts these days, man. I love it. But in any case, I imagine that we've covered it. So all of you, of the, let's say, 2,000 people who voted on that poll, I think over 50% asked for Project Fi, and you got it. So thank you for listening to the Friday Debate Podcast, FDP, as you can hashtag it on social media, of course. As for next week, I did want to put this out there. I will be in New York for the LG launch, and I will be back in time to be able to do an episode, but I'm going to put this out there. I'm still trying to figure out the logistics because obviously the time around the launch is going to be really hectic. There's a possibility that now the main possibility is I come back on time on Wednesday and Thursday and be able to record with us, our usual panel. By then, hopefully you guys or any one of our fellow writers and YouTubers are going to have seen my videos already, and we can talk at length about the LG G4. But the more fun thing that I feel like might happen is I might be able to get a few of our industry friends in on a podcast as well. If you remember, we did one at Mobile World Congress with Pocket Now and Nicole Scott from Mobile Geeks. So I've actually been talking to some people who I know I'm going to be seeing at the LG launch. So that might happen as well. So we'll keep you posted on that. But in any case, we will still have the poll available for future episodes as well, especially when there isn't something as big as, let's say, Project Fi or a G4 happening. But nonetheless, I want to give a thanks again to all of our hosts, Joe, John, and Andrew. And remember to keep it tuned to Android Authority for all of the best coverage, including the Friday Debate podcast and everything we do on YouTube. But don't forget to head on over to AndroidAuthority.com because, as we always end this podcast together, everybody, we are your source for all things Android.
Android.
Did you just not try, Grushy? Was that?
Oh, wait, no, Grushy didn't say it at all.
I did. I said
Oh,
it.
it didn't come through for me.
I was the first one who said it.